So today I'm going to be trying one of the most unusual breakfasts you'll ever see. I would describe it as a cross between a full English breakfast, an American barbecue and an Italian sandwich. So what does a breakfast like that look like and how does it taste? Well, today I'm going to find out. So the place I'm going to be eating this unusual breakfast is a restaurant called Fleur. It's described on their website as an international restaurant based on Yorkshire products, in a chic and modern dining atmosphere, with the menu designed by a former MasterChef finalist and Great British Menu contestant, so I'm guessing the food is gonna be good. Let's head in. The inside is really fancy looking, with a floral theme and pastel colour scheme. Walking in, it doesn't seem like your regular run-of-the-mill restaurant. It feels different, but in a good way. You have tables and chairs, but also booze available if you fancy something a little more comfy, which I did. The menu is a good size, with a set menu option, lunch and dinner to name a few, with the food being the classic fancy restaurant dishes like pastas and some more unusual options like chicken cheese naan, which sounds great. I might have to come back and try that. The meal I'm going for today though is called the barbecue beef brisket breakfast, right there. Plus my usual pot of tea, which came with a clear cup. I don't think I remember having a tea in a clear cup before, so this should be interesting. Let's make a quick cup before the food arrives. Right, so here is the breakfast I ordered. Totally different to any breakfast I've had before. Let's have a closer look at what's included. You get 2 fried eggs with some herbs and seasoning on top, a layer of barbecue beef brisket, and that's all on top of some Italian Pulis bread. I hope I'm saying that right. You then have some crushed potatoes that look interesting, a pot of seasoned baked beans, some cherry tomatoes, and a grilled mushroom. Let's eat. I'm going to start off with the crushed potatoes. So these don't look like your standard potatoes. They look like they have some other ingredients, not just potatoes in there. They've got the skin on and have some nice seasoning on them too. Let's try them out. Very nice. These taste like a jacket potato with that baked potato skin flavour that's a little crispy in texture. There's a bit of a tomato flavour in there, and also flavours of Indian spices like cumin and cardamom, all with soft fluffy potato in the middle. These are very nice. Next up we have the beans. They look like your standard baked beans but with some kind of seasoning on top. It'll be interesting to see how these are going to taste and if they'll be any different from the regular ones you get. So let's try them. Good beans. You get the familiar soft and mushy baked bean texture. The flavour is sweet. I don't quite taste any other flavours apart from the norm, so I'm not sure if the extra seasoning on top is making a difference. The good thing though is that you get a full pot of beans and a good bean to sauce ratio, which hasn't always been the case in some of my recent videos. I have to cut into one of the egg yolks next and see if it's runny or not. This one looks to be perfect, and the way the yolk just runs down the egg onto the bread and then the plate is just so satisfying to watch. I've cut off a piece to try. I've got a bit of the yolk and also some of the extra seasoning that's been added to the top as well, which I think is the theme here. It's some of the regular breakfast items but made fancy. Let's try the egg. Delicious. The egg white is soft and bouncy in texture, the yolk is thick and creamy, and the flavour is great. It also has some crispy onions on top which add a sweetness and crunch to the bite. There's other types of topping too, which I'm not totally sure what it is, but kind of fragrant. Let's move on to the cherry tomatoes. I'm not actually sure if these have been cooked or if they're just still raw. as they don't seem to have any colour to them. Let's eat one and find out. Nice. It's still raw. I don't think these have been cooked at all. The tomato just bursts open with juice as soon as you bite into it. They taste fresh. Maybe a bit of cooking with some other ingredients would spice it up a bit. I'm going to try out the mushroom next, as it's the next thing on the plate. It's one of the big fancy varieties, and I can see this has definitely been cooked, probably grilled. Let's go in for a taste and see what it's like. Delicious. You get that familiar, meaty, bouncy and springy texture of a mushroom. It's juicy too, as the more you chew, the more mushroom flavour comes out. You can taste a bit of the gruel flavour as well. All in all, it's a good mushroom. Okay, before I try out the barbecue beef brisket, I'm going to see what this bread is like. The menu says it's an Italian Pugliese bread. I've never had this before. It kind of looks like a sourdough that's been toasted. Let's eat it. Good bread. To me, it tastes like the usual toasted sourdoughs you get with a lot of breakfast now. It's really crunchy, but not to the point where it's hard to eat, which often is the case with these kinds of bread. It's pretty good. Right, I think we've come to the point that we've all been waiting for. The barbecue beef brisket. I've got a big chunk of it here. It looks like it's brisket that's been cut and shredded and then mixed with a thick barbecue sauce. I can't wait to try it, so let's not waste any more time and just do it. Fantastic. Straight away you get the barbecue sauce flavour. It's sweet, it's smoky, you get a bit of the beefy flavour too. The texture is meaty, kind of like a pulled pork texture, and you get a good amount of it too. The bread is covered with a thick layer of it. It's good brisket. Okay, it's time for some combo bites. The first one has already been created for me. It's everything on the bread. So we've got the runny egg with crispy onions, the sweet barbecue beef brisket, and the crunchy Italian toasted bread. Amazing. Let's go next with a bite of the potatoes. So we have the spice infused crushed potatoes, the beef brisket of course, which has to be with every bite, and a bit of mushroom on the bottom. Plus, why not a quick dip in the beans as well? Fantastic. And for the ultimate bite, everything on the plate. This really is going to be a flavour explosion and probably one of the most unusual breakfast combos I've ever had. Let's have a quick dip in the beans. Incredible. This is a not so standard breakfast, but one that's been made to up the level of each ingredient. I think it ended up being an amalgamation of 4 different cuisine styles in the end, but I think it worked. Combo bites are always the way to eat a breakfast, and this one, especially with the beef and potatoes, needs to be in every bite, and I comboed all the way to the end. What a nice breakfast that was. The beef brisket and potatoes were delicious. So the total cost of that meal was £18.45. Was that worth it? Comment down below your thoughts. For me, I would say it's a little expensive, but that place was a bit fancy going by the decor of it, and any meal that you have beef brisket in is probably not going to be the cheapest. So on balance, I would say it probably was. Okay, if you want to see more unusual breakfast, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you there.